doing? Psalm 30 is our text today. Adil is here. Adil. Did I say your name right, Adil? Okay. From Kyrgyzstan. And his dad is Pastor Emil. That's very good. We have a new visitor, Yatar, from Guinea or West Africa, right? Tom is here with John at this table over here. Praise the Lord. We're going to look at Psalm 30 and just go verse by verse through this psalm, making like three separate points. Today is prayer for the ministry, so let's do that now. Let's pray at your table for a few minutes and pray for the ministry. Wow. Yes. Yes. Wow, that's great. Yeah. Like yeah. Imagine like every day, really, there's an opportunity to get together and hear the word. Not only is it like to be together, but actually to have ministry, to hear and receive and to love each other. Well, thank you. You appreciate it. I just wish that everybody else in this room appreciated it. And I don't know about that. And those that are on the internet watching this. Okay, so at your table, have a few minutes of prayer, shall we, for the ministry? Okay, let's go to Psalm 30, verse 1. I will extol thee, O Lord, for you have lifted me up and has not made my foes to rejoice over me. So one of the meaning of this is simply that I realize that the Lord is with me and lifted me up, and I realize that those foes or enemies are not victorious over me. Maybe you have seen that in your life personally somehow. We often don't think of people as our enemies, but the ideas that people have, and also sometimes the action and the personality, may be against somebody at their working place, or maybe something happening in their family to discredit you or put you down. But in this psalm, the psalmist is saying, I recognize that God has helped me, God has honored me, and that I haven't become a victim of somebody's demise, somebody's efforts to put me down. Verse 2, O Lord my God, I cried unto you, and you have healed me. O Lord, you have brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. I don't know if anybody here has been on the phone with somebody with COVID who has, they can't breathe very well, like this. They're on the phone, they're at the hospital. I have been a few times talking to people, and you would think maybe they will die because of COVID. And here he said, you have healed me. God, you have healed me. That's really meaningful. That's verse 3, isn't it? O Lord, my God, O Lord, you have brought up my soul from the grave. My soul in the grave. It's not my body in the grave, my soul from the grave. You kept me alive, that I was giving up, but I was kept alive, and you healed me. I've met people I met somebody in West Virginia at the door. The man said, because his wife had just died of COVID, the neighbor told me. I went to the door. We were knocking on doors, and the man came. And I knew that he had just lost his wife, so I was talking with him, and he said, like 7 years ago, I had a heart attack. He told me that, he said, I should have died, but I lived. But my wife just died from this COVID. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, like, there are people that could say, I should be dead, but God has kept me alive. That's what it's saying here. Verse 4, sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his. Give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. This is, do you ever remember holiness? Do you remember holiness? You might remember your birthday, you might remember somebody's name or a phone number, but do you remember holiness? That's a very meaningful word. Do you remember the visitation where the Spirit affected you in such a way that you say, I'm never going to forget that. That was amazing, That was amazing. I have a few of those in my life, maybe many, but a few. When I first got saved, remember at the college campus, I went outside and I was seeking for God to stronger. I wanted the presence of God to be stronger, and I was under a tree and in the night, and I was praying, and I remember the visitation of God. Another time I was in Finland in the attic. I was deciding if I was going to ask Lisa if she would marry me. And I remember bringing that before God in the attic of the house. I was alone there. And I remember the visitation of God, you know. I remember holiness. Do you remember holiness? Have you ever had that? Have you had holiness touch your life? Like holiness of God, you know, have you had? He said, I remember, he said, sing unto the Lord, O ye saints, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Okay? Do you want to talk to you at the table for a minute and tell you, the person at the table, if you remember holiness? Okay. At your table, anybody want to say anything, Pastor Fred? Okay. Oh, really? Pastor Fred said that he was in Sri Lanka with Chuck Yanowski, and they had a hard day, but then they were walking, and the Spirit of God came upon them in such a way that they were filled with joy, and just it was so evident God was there, and it resulted in a great following days were great answer to prayers. And okay, this table over here, Susie and Pam. I'm just going to make it short just because it's for the internet. So. No, go ahead. Okay, it was Psalm 43. Psalm 43, verses 3 and 4. Okay, holiness, anybody here? The Pastor Sturge.
had gone out to California to be with the team. We were living in the house. The guy's dorm was the living room. There was 6 guys in the living room. But I remember reading the book, The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozier, and it was like this hunger for God that I had never experienced in my life. And every day I would wake up and I would just hunger for God, and it was insatiable. And I couldn't get enough of God, and I'd be walking to work every day, and just the Spirit of God would be over me the whole day, even at work. And this went on for about a week. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think we all understand what we're talking about, that we have these stories, and whatever years, how long ago was that in Sri Lanka? 30 or 40 years ago. Yeah, so like we have this, and it's done almost like in secret, like the world doesn't know about it, but we know about it, and it's something, when you touch holiness, this is that which is not in the world. The world doesn't have holiness. They have profanity. Profanity means that which is common, that which is like normal or common, and of course it has a stronger meaning too, profane. But holy means that it's very different, very special, and God is holy, and he gives that holiness to us, and we remember it. Verse 5, for his anger endures but a moment, in his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. If you were to compare all your good times with all your bad times, your good times far exceed the bad times. And if you always are living in bad times, that's because you're the problem. Because a lot of life is not that bad. A lot of life is amazing. But weeping may be for a moment, and God may be angry for a moment. But generally, no, it's usually very, very good. Like life is very, very good for a world of sinners. Really, we eat, of course, I know that it's, people argue various points on that, but in fact, it's pretty amazing that we are here. Verse 6, and in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. So he's having a very good time right now in this psalm. Like, I'm so strong. I'm so good. I'm so locked in. I remember, I understand that suffering happens, but it's so little. In my good times, my prosperity, I said, I'll never be moved. But the answer to that is that that's a very good attitude. But it's very hard for you in your good days to project into the future on your bad days and say, it's so good today, it's always going to, you'll never move me. It's very, very unwise, I think, to project your good times into the future and say, oh, always, and you can never move me. I think it should be more, if any man thinks that he stands, he should be saying instead, I don't think I can stand. I need God's grace. God will help me, Not because I've had so many good times. You can take all these good times, add them all up, and say it's going to help me through my bad times. And the answer is no. Like, you cannot accumulate all the good times and use it as a leverage against the bad times. I mean, in my opinion, if you think you stand, you should take heed lest you fall. And the better formula, I think, is to learn about who God is and say that God is my helper, an ever-present help in every time of need. If I make it in my bad time, it'll be by the grace of God. if when I'm tempted and I overcome it, it's because God delivered me then. Not that he delivered me now, but that he delivered me then. Because that's when I'm going to really need it. And it'll be God in that hour that will help me and deliver me. Right? I mean, that's just what I think about it. I don't know. Verse 7. Lord, by thy favor you have made my mountain to stand strong. You did hide your face, and I was troubled. I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. So that's a good thing, you know. You made my mountain to stand strong. I wonder what he means by that. My mountain to stand strong. Mountain of what? My mountain of faith, my mountain of victory, my mountain of understanding to stand strong. I don't know what it means. My mountain, my life is a mountain to stand strong. You did hide your face, I was troubled. But then I cried to you, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. I like this thinking now, verse 9. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise you? Shall it declare thy truth? Okay? You want to talk to the table about that verse? I think you guys want to say something about it. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? When I die, what good does my dust do? Will the dust of my body praise you?